you're feeling like you are eating emotionally, eating without hunger, drawn towards certain foods, that you're okay. Whenever you see what's happening in the world, so when we actually sink into what's happening, like, holy cow, we're all experiencing this crazy uncertainty in time. So if you feel drawn towards food, there's many reasons for that. Some people do feel drawn towards alcohol, and both things can be used to numb out, right? And there's these whole messages we have around control around food. And I'm not here to really debate philosophy, but I'm just here to approach something a little differently. And I want to come at it from a different perspective, that if we actually think about how we eat before we think about what we eat, that the what we eat unravels itself a lot. That's great grammar, right? When we are stressed, we're depleting ourselves of certain nutrients. So certain body functions and organs need more nutrients when we're stressed. If we're stressed, we're not digesting, so we're not absorbing nutrients, and that's a big deal. And so a lot of us are in stress mode, and you may be a stressed person who doesn't eat. You can't eat, your stomach is like, because your digestion's shut off. And for someone like me, if I'm really stressed, I can't eat. But a lot of the times I have coped over the years with food because that was my go-to as a kid. And I know there's lots of weight loss programs going on out there. And some of them don't really realize that for someone like me, who's 54, I don't know what I really believe in anymore. You know, what do I want to do to get an ab? I went through that at 40 and I got really, really sick. To get an ab, to get 2 abs, to get 6 abs. You know, we're measuring a lot of our worth based on looks. And it's part of our belonging too. If you're struggling with this eating thing or maybe drinking, think about the how of how you're eating. Sink into and notice your actions rather than trying to control them today, tomorrow, right now. Sink into your actions and understand and start to understand what's driving you to the fridge. If you're not hungry, first step, if you're not hungry, and it's hungry and you're in the fridge, what's driving you there? And there's nothing bad about emotionally eating. For us anxious eaters, are we able to step back and be like, oh, okay, I'm not hungry, but I'm in the fridge when I'm not hungry. Why do I want like 500 cookies? So when we go back to that brain chemistry, if you are stressed or if you're underfed, if you are not giving yourself the right combinations of minerals, if your digestion isn't optimum and you're not absorbing those minerals, your brain might be sending you to the fridge. Physiologically, that's your body. If you're underfed, you need nutrients to make neurotransmitters. When you're running out of neurotransmitters, and this is just general, and you're anxious, your body is looking for stimulants or things to calm you down. And that could be carbohydrate-rich foods. There's a reason why they're calming. That could be alcohol. That could be cigarettes. That's a lot of us. On a regular basis, but that's just one of the reasons. We might be looking to calm our nervous system. So when you actually just step back and stop with the control and understand the how of eating, your own how, without judgment, without berating yourself and calling yourself all the names that a lot of us women in the 50 plus category, the 40 plus category are used to doing. I've gotten better at it, but I still slip back into that old behavior. When you can see where that's coming from, this is the beginning of getting a handle on your food. And I say getting a handle, I don't mean in that control sense, because a big portion of it is for those of us who overeat. We may overeat because we're used to dieting. So I've done a whole talk on the kind of eaters that you can be in my Facebook group. But when we over-restrict through our lifetime, hands up if you've done that. Hands up if you are a professional dieter. But if you've been a professional dieter, you're used to restricting. And I know there's people who have had success with all these things out there, intermittent fasting, keto. We could go on and on, just like mindful intuitive eating. Those two concepts are being co-opted into diet circles. And so if you're really looking to understand those approaches, it isn't about counting calories, portion control. It's not. And it's not sexy. It's not a 21-day promise. And noticing today what you're doing. What do you do? When are you hungry? Do you feed yourself when you're hungry? Do you overly restrict because you're so worried about gaining weight through the pandemic? Over restriction, when we do that, we're not feeding our thyroid. That yo-yo syndrome, when we're not eating, we're restricting, your thyroid does sense that starvation mode, and it's like, oh, okay, we gotta control the body processes here, I gotta slow down. And that's where, when we start to eat again and we have a few carbs, because we believe carbs are bad, that's where yo-yo or rebound weight gain can come in. So I want to invite you to just notice. Notice when you're craving. Notice when you are hungry or not. Notice whether you feed yourself. Notice the thoughts that come up around being hungry. Are you telling yourself you had too much cake last night, so maybe you don't deserve food today? Are you telling yourself that maybe you had 500 cookies on the weekend, so you really don't deserve to eat too much today? Drop a pizza in the comments if you would like to hear more of noticing, pausing, tuning in to why you crave. These things with mindful and intuitive eating, it's there to get rid of this struggle around food, this push-pull that we have, because when we attach emotion to our broccoli and our brownie, when we attach that emotion, that's where the struggle comes, because we believe that broccoli is virtuous and brownies are villainous. And when we allow ourselves to have brownies, we're horrible people, we're bad eaters. So it translates into feeling like a horrible person. Weight loss is not the only marker of health. There are many other ways to raise your health besides intentional weight loss. Now, there's nothing wrong with weight loss if it's not hurting your self-esteem, if it's not hurting you physically, but intentional weight loss can be very harmful to some people. If you can take away today just noticing when your cravings come, are they tied to an emotion? Are they tied to a feeling? Do you want to eat without hunger? We can start to explore why.